Swaruu said, everything, nearly everything 99.999% of the Milky Way, at least is in 5D. In the same way, the Earth was and still is 5D. The 3D matrix is an imposed or superimposed computerized hologram over the 5D Earth, and your five senses can only see the hologram, not the rest, which is also there, but in 5D. It all affects you, but you can only be aware of what your limited senses can detect. The computer system was imposed there from the lunar space station 12,500 years ago as a means to contain the reptilian souls by Federation forces. This at the end of the Tiamat and Mars wars. The 3D matrix is connected to and using the original matrix system of operation. Through the law of attraction, what you truly ask for will come to you, although there are some aspects of this which are not fully known to humans yet. The matrix computers will read your thoughts, and emotions and matching frequencies will come together. It's programmed that way. So, control what the people believe in and you control what the matrix is manifesting as a collective reality. Gosia said, okay, step by step. So the 3D system was placed over the 5D by the Federation from the moon. You said earlier you didn't mean for it to be so hard. Swaruu said, that's right. But, placing the matrix as a control grid also made it easy to hack by the reptilian forces, especially those that had access to the computers in the moon later on, transforming a normal 3D world into the hellhole it is today for most. Gosia said, why did the Federation want to lock reptiles in 3D? Swaruu said, the Federation did it to keep inside the etheric fence, because they were too wasted, depleted and tired to continue with the pursuit of reptiles on Earth as they are doing now. That's why they implemented the Stargate, the Van Allen belts that limit 3D, to keep the bad reptiles in until they can return. They were very weakened at the time. Also, the entire solar system was a complete mess of debris and the ships couldn't operate properly. It was too dangerous, this because of the destruction of Tiamat planet. And it was destroyed because the Naga reptiles were being persecuted there. The whole fight was against them. Gosia said, so now, with reptilians residing on Earth, instead of destroying the planet just like they did with Tiamat, they decided to set up the 3D belts, yes. Swaruu said, yes, because their last action brought the destruction of an entire planet, although there wasn't any civilization there at the time. It was a water planet, so it would have been a good spot to set a base camp there, by the reptiles. Gosia said, can you tell me a bit more about that time, and the wars? It will give us a perspective behind setting up 3D belts around Earth after it. Swaruu said, when the reptiles arrived on Earth about 40,000, some say 50,000 Sumerian tablets, say 250,000 years, but they are wrong. The reptiles placed a dummy base in Tiamat to emit all kinds of dummy electromagnetic radiation, so when the Federation came after them, they could lure them into a trap, in an ambush style. The Federation pursuing the reptiles arrived at Tiamat to investigate the electromagnetic transmissions from there, and they were ambushed by the reptiles. It was a very horrible and bloody war. The Federation was desperate to end the conflict, which involved the use of nuclear and energy .0 devices, that led to the destruction of the planet. Now the Andromeda Council, a part of the larger Federation, insists that Taygetans and the other races involved in the destruction of Tiamat be the ones who liberate Earth, for karmic reasons. This is then another reason why we Taygetans have always been involved in Earth affairs. Trying to clean the mess? Gosia said, yes. I have always sensed that there was a deeper reason to the story, and even to why you are here. And in a way all this makes you look even more human. People, our families, who also struggle in their lives, even commit mistakes, even though I tend to believe there are no mistakes. It makes you less so, new agey sweet and all loving. It makes you real. Swaruu said, yes, the deeper reason is also to pay off that karma, as some say, although I beg to differ on the concept of karma, with them, something we can go into at a later time. And yes, we do make mistakes. Gosia said, it also makes you more real because as I see you differ among yourselves. We truly are one big family, trying to understand this existence, and doing our best, with what we have and what we understand. But please, continue with the story. Swaruu said, after the Tiamat and Mars wars, both sides, the reptilians and the Federation had taken a very hard beating, many losses. The Federation was damaged and weak. It could not continue fighting, but knowing that the reptilians were on Earth, they enclosed them there with the 3D matrix with the intention of sorting it out later. This matrix is a computer program designed as a hologram that is projected onto 5D Earth with a large and powerful hologram projector, the Moon. It's all a program. And the system is primitive digital. It's a caricature of 5D reality. Gosia said, why can't you just shut it off? Swaruu said, we can. But people there will have a very hard time adjusting, and it goes against their own free will, as it is said that souls go in there now for the thrill. And even if we did just shut it off, the 5D and all its attributes would suddenly start working, and that means that strange interdimensional animals, that are all there anyway, would be seen running in the streets terrorizing little old ladies, who still go to church. UFOs, most of them, ghosts, monsters, and all things paranormal are the 5D part of Earth filtering through the holes in the 3D matrix program. Gosia said, how did projecting a 3D trap the reptilians exactly? Swaruu said, because holograms are not just light. When powerful enough, they are great electromagnetic energy, a force field. That force field is the Van Allen belts that surround the Earth. That's the limit of the 3D. A wall. You cannot go through that wall without technology that can control frequencies. As a soul, if your vibration isn't high enough, you cannot go through either. You need to ascend, to work on yourself, to have a high vibration enough to escape the fence. The souls not evolved enough will reincarnate there again. The evolved ones will escape. That's also why the negative ones don't want this information out. They don't want people escaping because they lose their slaves. Gosia said, was the civilization and were there humans on Earth at the time of 3D installment? Swaruu said, there was and there were evolved humans on Earth. Lions, for example, from whom we all descend. Gosia said, so they got trapped too. Swaruu said, that's sad, but it looks like that's true. The Federation expected to go back to Earth, to finish the job soon, and for many complicated reasons, that is now 12,500 years long. Gosia said, okay, so please tell me how the 3D was programmed before it was hacked by the reptilians imposing the limiting beliefs. Swaruu said, the very same way you program a video game with interactive capability. You design a virtual world in your imagination using CGI graphics. You also create it not with a mouse and screen, but with thought-to-computer interface. The computer goes reading what you want and where you want anything. You move it with your hands and thought. It's creative. The rules didn't include making you a slave of anyone else twisting the program to fit their needs. The system was flawed, it got intervened and hacked. Things like aging fast, for example. They are not part of the matrix directly, but programmed from the inside after it was installed, using belief patterns of, and from, the people. It was done using the original matrix itself, and its rules, as they could not get to the computer itself, that was, and still is, in the Moon. The rules such as the law of attraction. What you want, You get? They made the people think they were limited in order for them to age, make them believe that they had only some 85 years to live. The harshness of the environment and the world, also created by them, also helps to create that belief in aging, but it's all mind, not genetic manipulation. Earth scientists insist that they found the gene that controls aging. And they are right, but what they don't see or understand is, what Bruce Lipton does, that it's consciousness, that turns the genes on and off, even creates new ones. So, the reptiles manipulated the people into manifesting a shorter lifespan. The reptiles hacked the system using mind control over the people manifesting the matrix. Gosia said, "You mean the law of attraction is not part of this 3D matrix, but of an original matrix, correct?" Swaruu said, "Yes, the law of attraction is also working here in this initial matrix. In fact, it's a lot stronger here. All the other rules come from that one, and there are so many of them. With that first law of attraction, each being immersed in it will create its own particular or personal set of rules while there. And if things look the same for all individuals, it's because people on Earth have been guided to manifest the same things, using mind control to create a hive mind, in order to exploit them energetically and as best as possible. Creating a farm in benefit of the reptilians." Gosia said, "Got it? So what are the difference in 3D and 5D reality? I'm not talking about the reptile changing it. Just a pure 3D holographic world versus 5D one. I guess I'm trying to determine what, from the things here, is real, still exists in the 5D, and which things are holographically inserted." Swaruu said, "The hologram at a higher level superimposes images, yes, but it works mainly this way. It locks people's perceptions into a set bandwidth of perception, and that's white light bandwidth. So, even if all the rest of the 5 components of Earth are still there, you cannot be aware of them with your 5 senses. Take a ruler, for example. 1 is a low frequency, 10 is the higher. It's all a frequency gradient from low to high. If your eyes cannot see past 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are not existing for you." Gosia said, "Okay, so it's mostly limiting the perception. Not inserting false images. Just limiting the perception of these images." Swaruu said, "Both, sometime imposing an image, but mostly restricting what you can see. From 5D, you can see everything in the frequency range of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but not 6 and above. So, they're in 3D, you cannot see 4 and 5. Gosia said, "How does the 3D differ from 5D? It's still the same objects, yes. Chair is a chair. Shoe is still a shoe." Swaruu said, "Yes. Shoe is a shoe because they are both an original matrix. A chair is a chair here in 5D, and it's the same in 3D because 3D matrix was created as a copy of 5D matrix." Gosia said, "And a tree?" Swaruu said, "A tree is a tree, but it's a higher vibration. Now what's that vibration thing exactly? A vibration, or a density, are the oscillations per second of manifested matter. Look at a fan. When it's stopped you can see the blades. But when on, and going fast, the blades are a blur. Go faster, they will disappear from your sight entirely, but they are still there. So, in order to stop someone from seeing past 3D, they must keep them suppressed in a lower frequency state. We also have the original 5D matrix imposing things on the people of Earth, things that as they are suppressed they cannot see, but still are there to affect you." Gosia said, "I have always felt deep frustration of being trapped to perceive objects only in the way my brain decodes them here. And I always knew deep inside they also exist in another way, in that higher oscillatory rate as you described. I touch the wood and it's just very limiting 3D wood. I have always sensed that there was something wrong, and that this is not the only way things exist. Swaruu said, what you describe does mean you miss what you remember and know you are limited now. Things feel a lot more real in 5D. Colors are stronger and there are more of them. You feel more in touch with your surroundings and with everything, not only living things. Now, how does the suppression in 3D work? The moon transmits a frequency that suppresses your capacity to see certain frequencies. When you have a frequency, let's say 7.6 to mH, how do you suppress it? Gosia said, you tell me. Swaruu said, to suppress it you transmit another frequency that matches it, but at the opposite 7.6 to mH. 7.6 to plus 7.6 to equals 0. That's how the moon cancels out the frequencies they don't want you to see and perceive. It's called destructive interference. Gosia said, that's deep science for me there. Swaruu said, that frequency suppression using destructive interference will limit people's perception to 3D, or only in the frequency range ruler of 1, 2, 3. Ghosts and other things are in 4. Lower astral. So some things do leak into 3D. The suppression is not perfect. Gosia said, I always knew something is wrong with this reality. I am walking within the shadow of myself. Virtual reality avatar of myself. Swaruu said, exactly. When deep in that state people get so disconnected from their higher self, their source, only acting out the program from the matrix making them do the same things, over and over, day after day, that they literally can lose their souls. The higher self loses interest in being in these individuals. Gosia said, oh wow, we will need to get into that more too in the future. So now, the lunar computers, are they really computers, or I imagine it is something vastly more advanced from what we can imagine, right? Swaruu said, they are literal digital computers using a primitive binary system. They are controlled by very old and dangerous nuclear reactors, based on uranium, and they are toxic ionizing radiation. The computers control the electromagnetic generators. They dictate the exact frequency they emit, when and where, because the matrix is not uniformly set. It's different for each region. Gosia said, why is it different for each region? And which region has the most and the least matrix? Swaruu said, most matrix, USA and Europe. Least matrix, regions of Africa, Brazil and Asia. Mostly where there is a lot of nature, that's where it receives less electromagnetic influence. Gosia said, but why was it designed to emit more matrix in some regions? Swaruu said, it was not designed that way. The system is failing, so they are conserving and managing energy. The system initially consisted of 12 nuclear reactors uranium, but 8 of them are disabled now only 4 remain online. They are old and may fail suddenly, creating a problem. Interplex technicians are now on the problem, and how to feed the system with an alternate source of power. So the system is weak. It's 12,500 years old, it's failing. And people down there are experiencing many glitches. Gosia said, okay. Now, can we get out of the 3D matrix perception? Using only our mind, since it is installed through some kind of technology. Swaruu said, yes, when the consciousness level is high enough it will in itself automatically adjust the matrix to 5D, with this liberating the people to the original 5D natural matrix. As the wants of the people manifest, what the matrix gives them, it will automatically manifest 5D for them, if that's what they want. If we turn it off manually now, then all we will have is chaos, as most of the people are not ready for 5D. Gosia said, okay, so from what I understand, we are multidimensional, and as with the ruler example, we already are in the 5D, it's just our range of perception that has been shut off. All the other numbers are there already. 4, 5, 6, etc. In a way we already are there, right? We do exist in our fifth dimensional state and higher, it's just a matter of widening the perception to include that, right? Swaruu said, right. It's what you want to perceive that counts, and so, as I said before, and it is vital to understand, people are not limited artificially, they are only limited by their own beliefs. They are in a prison for their minds, as Morpheus said in the brilliant movie, The Matrix. Gosia said, so, even if it is maintained technologically, the 3D installment, our consciousness can bypass it, correct? Swaruu said, consciousness is not in the body, it works through the body. You are not there, you are only perceiving there now. So, it cannot be contained. That's why the only thing that limits humans is the idea that they are limited. And that's the part done by the reptilians hacking the system. Gosia said, if we are descendants of lions, and they were here at the moment of 3D installment, how come that they forgot who they are, we are, and they, the reptiles, somehow even managed to use the Matrix against them? They were supposed to be trapped in their perception too. Swaruu said, because they are the ones that are hacking the system, and they never were lied to about reality. Their consciousness wasn't given the idea of being limited. The 3D trap was meant for the reptiles, the limited exploiting ideas then were set by the reptiles to exploit the Leon people. That's the hack. The 3D frequency and the ideas limit the memory. Trapped in a memory loss perception, that's all part of the idea of being limited. All your past life's memory is still within you now. Because it's not stored in the body. Gosia said, okay, trying to wrap my head around this. Why do the reptiles want to keep us generating the Matrix if they want to escape it too? Swaruu said, because the Matrix is working in great percentage to their favor, and they do want to escape so they can be free, as they have been imprisoned there for 12,500 years. They have been hard at work for the last 12,500 years. Gosia said, why not let us go? I mean, if they could let us go, raise our frequency, we could get out. Swaruu said, many are doing precisely that. The reptilians are now split into two factions. The ones that want to cooperate and the ones that want to fight until the bitter end. Gosia said, okay. Changing the subject, if we go beyond the Van Allen belts, could we access the 5D automatically? Swaruu said, yes. As you go beyond Van Allen belts you are automatically in 5D. The trick is get out. But yes, as you go out, you find yourself in 5D. Then you remember it all and it all makes sense. Gosia said, you said the trick is how to get out. So, how did the reptiles manage to get out? If they were trapped? Portals. Swaruu said, yes. Although they are mostly stopped from using portals now, they still do in a limited way. Spaceflight, on the other hand, is forbidden for them. Gosia said, how did they reach the portal technology? Because they were 3D trapped, left with nothing, no resources, and managed to somehow grow back to power. Swaruu said, they took 12,500 years to find and develop enough technology to get out. Even the Nazis and their obsession with antiquities and the esoteric, what they always wanted was to find the old and hidden artifacts, and technology buried since long ago, technology lost since Atlantis was destroyed. Gosia said, okay. Do you know, or can you foresee when the 3D installment will be off completely? Any forecast time-wise? Swaruu said, no forecast possible. Because the real nature of spacetime doesn't permit a clear forecast. But I can say that in 10 years or less the world will be unrecognizable in the good way. Gosia said, okay. Now, the last question, perhaps a little indiscreet if I may. Aren't you perhaps turning off the 3D matrix little by little from up there? Like turning it up. 3D, then 3.1. 3.2, etc. I mean, time is speeding up. People waking up. Something is going on. Swaruu said, we are turning the knob, slowly turning 3D off. Gosia said, I knew it. Can I tell people? They will be happy. Swaruu said, yes, it's okay to tell them. Gosia said, and at what grade are we now? 3. to 3.5D. Swaruu said, you are all, in average at the border with what you call fourth density. Our team is slowly increasing the frequency, and this besides the fact that the whole quadrant is ascending to the fifth density anyway, literally moving a dial on a console. That's why so many people are awakening, and so many people are seeing strange creatures, and strange things are happening all over the place, because 3D is now overlapping with 4D lower astral. Gosia said, but then, I understand it's important to make it clear also that it's not all in the hands of technology. The cooperation of our mind is as important, if not more. It's the effort from both sides. Our consciousness is key, right? Swaruu said, yes, yes. The people must be the change. The people mustn't sit and wait. They must be 5D now. You must be the new world, not wait for it to happen. The people are the event they are waiting for. Their mind is the key.